Hello, it's Julian Venables here, the London Astrologer, and I'm here today to tell you about Venus in Gemini squaring Neptune in Pisces, and the date is July the 27th, 2020. So, today is the last day that Venus meets Neptune after having had a long kind of played out transit where they've been interlinking with each other since the month of May. It was the 3rd to the 6th of May 2020, and again on the 20th and 22nd of May 2020 that they made contact to each other, 90 degrees apart from each other, but they've been in signs, zodiac signs, Gemini and Pisces, squaring each other for 4 months. And so this date today is very interesting because it's culminating, it's finishing, or it's resolving something that's been going on for a long time. And so we're going to look at some of the headlines today. I want to tell you a little bit more about Venus in Gemini first, and Neptune in Pisces. Venus in Gemini's, Venus is the planet of love, money, values, sense of self-worth, and relationships. All those key things, very important. It's also to do with things like the enjoyment of life, the pleasures of life. And when it's in Gemini, it's all about the enjoyment of communication, the enjoyment of repartee, of wittiness, of a good conversation, of ideas, of short journeys, travelling, moving around, socialising. And when Venus is in Gemini, it's about keeping it quite light and open. There's always room for something else to happen. There's a lot of adaptability and versatility, which is one of the very key things of Gemini, as it is with Pisces. So there's a lot of themes in the world at the moment and in these last 4 months that have been extremely Venus in Gemini, and I'll get into those in a bit more depth as we go along. Now, Venus has been squaring Neptune in Pisces. Neptune's been in Pisces since 2010, and it's there for another 4 years. And so in a way, it's a generational planet, and Neptune in Pisces is bringing us, quite literally, spiritually unifying us, merging us as one form of consciousness. We pick up a lot on each other's thoughts, feelings. There's a kind of collective emotional feeling. There's a lot of that sort of transcendent consciousness going on. But more precisely, when Venus squares Neptune, there's a little bit of parrying, if you like, where things don't quite necessarily match up the way they should do, because the square provides tension and a bit of a clash between two dynamics: Venus, the relationship; Neptune, the dream. So we're going to be looking at some of the headlines now today. At the moment, there are two major headlines, two major things in relationships that have really popped out in the newspapers for quite a while, and the other one is an ongoing thing. But the two that I've noticed in the headlines right now are, we've got Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, and the whole thing of them dropping out of the royal family. That's recently just completely hit the headlines in the last couple of days. Particularly like 25th, 26th of July, and now the 27th. And there's a lot of talk of them falling out of the royal family, but it's all maybe a little bit mysterious and things. But we'll get into that in a minute. The other relationship that's really huge at the moment is what's going on in the courts with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, this libel trial, and of course there's a whole thing going on there. That's also very Venus Neptune. So let's have a look at some of the headlines to see, and I can show you what's going on today, 27th of July 2020. So if we look at some of this, then Firstly, Venus, of course, rules roses. I think just, there's lots of little bits in the headlines that we can piece together, you see, to really see the aspect. So we've got here Meghan and Kate in Wars of the Roses. That's very Venus square Neptune, the rose. And of course the Duchess is Venus. Neptune is the self-sacrificing dream that they live as royal family. Once they married into the family, then they have to give up their normal lives to do their royal duties. Meghan Markle didn't necessarily, took Harry back to Hollywood, which of course is a very Neptune place as well. Kate gave up her life in order to do royal duties, which is the self-sacrificing Neptune part of things. And they've apparently, according to the Daily Mirror, are clashing. And this is what this whole issue is about. There's a lot of clashing going on about duty, amongst other things. And then we look at so that's, just keep that in mind. We'll get back to that in a minute. Now the headline on the front page of the Telegraph today is excellent because we've got lots of Venus Neptune on here today. Really interesting. So 27th of July 2020, the headline: lose £5 and save the NHS 100 million. Well, there you go. That's very interesting because of course Venus is our looks, our sense of self-worth and self-esteem. If you lose weight, if Neptune is the loss, to lose something. If you lose weight, lose £5, then you'll save the NHS, which is a very Neptunian institution. You'll save the NHS 100 million. So if you lose something, you'll gain something else, and it is actually an idealistic headline because it's like, well, if So and that is Hancock says COVID was a wake-up call on obesity as he urges the nation to shed weight. Well, of course, everyone should do that, but whether or not they will, well, the government's stepping in with some ideas. They've also got on here other Venus-Neptune things. This headline's very interesting. Women on boards increase profits tenfold. Women on boards increase profits tenfold. So this is a business headline, and it's saying Venus is women. If Venus were in boards, which is about a decision-making process, the boardroom, the top executives, if you like, they're all talking to each other. That's Gemini, Venus in Gemini, women in boardroom. Increase profits tenfold. Venus is profits as well because it's money relationships, relating to money rather, and tenfold is again the kind of Neptunian fantasy possibly, but it does indicate that there's something very important going on there that's being missed or not been connected yet. Venus square Neptune is like, let's make this connection, let's get women more involved in boardrooms and our profits will increase tenfold. So it's very positive there for the general equality movement. And then we've got here another really interesting one here, is that we have Harry in a trance after meeting Meghan. Prince Harry in a trance after meeting Meghan. Now, Neptune is the trance. Venus is the relationship. Harry meets Meghan. So there's Venus square Neptune. And it says here, the pair were almost obsessed with each other straight away and talking about their future. So, and that's today Venus square Neptune. And we also have, in the bottom corner, interestingly as well, bottom corner of the front page Telegraph today, treat depression with magic mushrooms. That is very interesting news, and I do believe that would help the world move along in a very good way and make people really heal, actually. So I do think that could be fantastic. And of course, that would be magic mushrooms, of course, is Neptune in Pisces, or Neptune generally. The treatment of depression, again, I just think that could be a big solution right there. And it's doctors saying that leading doctors have concluded in a report, which is Venus which would be Gemini, on the emerging benefits of the drug. So that's very, very interesting. Now, there's more headlines, because if you see, we keep going down here. We've then got the Financial Times. The Financial Times says today, just one key thing, Venus square Neptune phrase, is that loan losses. Europe must brace itself for lots more loan losses. Venus square Neptune is to do with money, of course. The square is the tension, Neptune is the loss. And then we've got in the Times newspaper, also very interestingly, we'll find the Times, and we have Chancellor considers online sales tax in a bid to save the high street. Okay, well, they're being forced, a square, Venus to Neptune, to change the way the retail market. High streets are emptying out, shops are closing down, no one can pay the business rates. And so how are the government to bring in their resources? They've got to come up with clever and new and different ways. Venus in Gemini, and so a consideration would be to go with the idea that an online sales tax would change that situation, and it still wouldn't save the high street, I don't think, because you see the high street's closing down and everyone's going online anyway. So if they did do a sales tax, then everyone will still buy online. Anyway, we'll see. So, and then we have and the Daily Mirror, and that's it. Yes. So there we go. Right. Now there's other headlines as well today, because it's also Mercury square Mars today, and that's the lots of restrictions and things on travelling. But that's another thing altogether. I'm talking to you today about Venus square Neptune. So. So if we think about things, then let's think a bit more about what Venus and Neptune are doing together and how that might be affecting your life as well. Today you might be finding, and particularly coming up from things starting in May this year, so 4 months ago, May 2020, there may have been stuff coming up then, but it peaks today. It's a very important day today for that, to understand all that. So you might find that sensitivity, this is a Neptune issue, Venus-Neptune, makes you very vulnerable to intrigue, to confusion or deception. It's a very good idea to avoid flights of fancy today. The fantasy can hurt sometimes. The illusion or the dream can actually hurt. So be very wary of that in your relationships. And that's a general Venus square Neptune thing, is to look out for that. There can be quite a lot of tendency to exaggerate emotional theatrics, if you like. And you might find that someone has abandoned you or let you down in some way, which can be very upsetting. It can hurt feelings. So this is also something to look out for, to be wary of. When Venus squares Neptune and that comes around by transit, you can be like, God, well, I wasn't expecting that, And yeah, it can create tears and upset. So be ready or warned or prepared for situations like that in your life. Sometimes some people might be very evasive or concealing or just quite naturally impossible to figure out. Why so-and-so being like that? I don't know why they're being like that. They're just like being strange. But what we must do, and as part of our healing process in this, and to always make the best of a difficult transit, is to be considerate and to be tender towards those who are weak or who are insufficient or who are incompetent or who are defective or defenseless. And if you show compassion at this time, and you make sure you do that, that's the square, you put a bit of energy into helping someone else, then that is a good solution. It's a good time to maybe get artistic, to pursue some artistic interests. Write that poem, paint that picture, sing that song. Pick up the guitar or whatever instrument you play, or play the piano. Rediscover, maybe force yourself, a square, to rediscover some of the musical talents you might have lost from the past. And have easygoing social interactions. Don't push things too much, too fast, too hard. Venus is in Gemini. Make it light, make it airy, make it communicative. Just try to have fun with things. You might find that people generally are being kind of unreal, like they just seem to be the sort of people who are like, well, why is that person being like that? It's not, one cannot be too certain, So there's the things around facing up to escapism. This is a very big thing. Neptune always encourages one to escape, to elude, to pour away, to sort of filter through something, and Venus is facing up to the values around that. What do people think of you or me or anybody by not facing up to something? And in a way, this Neptune thing can be very transcendent, and you might find yourself seeing deeply into your soul, and you have to confront yourself. Sometimes you might be like, well, I didn't realise that, but I guess I've just got to let go to it, or something like that. And that is in itself also quite a challenge, and it can be very encouraging to get quite bizarre, or to take up a sort of an addiction process, go and get very drunk or something like that, or other substances. So it can be that is if you get to perceive things at a very deep level about yourself, that maybe you don't necessarily want or like or can't accept, the ego can't accept Venus square Neptune. I mean, I'm getting very deep with this today because I want to tell you about Venus square Neptune, and it's not the easiest of aspects. It is light today. This 27th of July 2020 is a light aspect because it's Venus in Gemini. It keeps it light and fresh and easy and skippy. It's quite jumpy. It's quite easy going. It's like a bit of like a social butterfly flittering around. Sometimes Venus square Neptune can be very heavy and very heavy going, and so one has to be ready for that. And if you want to look through archives of news or archives of the world or your own life, you can go back and discover those Venus transit Neptunes. This is transit to transit today, but you can go back and discover it and work it out and see for yourself how different ways that it can manifest. It's immutable signs at the moment, which are Gemini and Pisces. Adaptability, versatility, flow, change, literally the word mutable. And so these are all things to look out for, but it's the idea that sometimes running away from a problem can actually be more destructive than healing it. And that's particularly in things like relationships. If a relationship is a problem, can you come to terms with it? Can you talk to your other half about the relationship that you're in? Can you actually get the truth out of someone today? This could be, a challenge to do that. So there might be quite a lot of self-doubt or disorientation. This is all very Venus square Neptune, particularly when it comes to relationships, and also money and self-worth and self-esteem. So probably a good idea to avoid spending all your money on something. Shop with discretion is what I'd say. Pay attention that you're not pushing the boat out too far. And maybe not a good day to get massive bank loans and things like that. In a way, there's a sense of needing to retreat is actually an important thing with Venus square Neptune. The world can be too much sometimes, and it's good to kind of hide away a bit. You don't have to present your true self. You don't have to do that at all. In fact, what you really have to do is turn off the right brain. That super sensitivity part. It's a sponge, isn't it? It was soaking up all that emotional atmosphere, and it can be very deluding. And so in a way, if you're feeling very highly charged emotions about things, it can be a good idea just not to interact, and instead just to have a quieter time. Just be reflective and let this phase pass through. You'll feel much better when it's done. It's not a particularly easy one. So there we go. I've given you some stuff to think about there. 27th of July 2020. based on the last 4 months, because we had a Venus retrograde in Gemini. Venus has been in Gemini now for almost 4 months, and this was the moment that it resolved itself today. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please keep in mind that you can ask me for readings. You can learn astrology with me, all on my website, which is londonastrologer.com. I am doing webinars, I am teaching, and I'm giving readings. And please subscribe to my videos. The subscribe button is just about here, underneath the screen, a red button. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed me telling you about Venus square Neptune today, and very welcome to leave a comment. So I hope you enjoyed this. My name is Julian Venables. I am the London Astrologer, and I have today been talking to you about the testing aspect of Venus square Neptune, and I hope you will watch one of my videos again soon. Bye for now.